I first visited Svalbard in 2013, and from the moment I stepped off the plane in Longyearbyen, I knew it was special. Now, 11 years later, and having just returned from Svalbard for the 2024 edition of our Svalbard Arctic expedition, nothing has changed. It is still one of my favorite destinations. There is still something beautiful and magical about the place, and for me, it has definitely changed the way I see the world. In this video, I'd like to share just a little bit of what our recent experience in Svalbard was like. So, before we get into the trip and sharing some visuals and just stories from our recent amazing expedition, I wanted to read something that I wrote yesterday. We're in the process of updating the website with next year's expedition details, and when I finished this, I thought, let me use this in this video today. Situated midway between mainland Norway and the legendary North Pole, Svalbard stands as one of the world's most remarkable wilderness and wildlife destinations. For this unforgettable adventure, we'll be traveling aboard the MS Stockholm, a specialized expedition ship designed to navigate the Arctic waters with ease. Compact and agile, this vessel allows us to make frequent landings with Zodiacs, granting us unparalleled access to explore the breathtaking polar landscapes and encounter its remarkable fauna up close. I'm going to carry on just a little bit. Svalbard has captivated travelers for generations with its untamed beauty and rich natural wonders. This Arctic archipelago boasts an abundance of wildlife, pristine landscapes, and historic mining settlements that create a truly unique and awe-inspiring experience. In this expedition, you'll witness firsthand the mesmerizing charm of Svalbard, where rugged wilderness and raw natural splendor converge in perfect harmony. Now, that doesn't even come close to kind of describing what the adventure is like. Here's the thing. When you arrive in Longyearbyen, you're in one of the most northern settlements in the world. You're at 78 degrees north. That's right up there. For people from South Africa, that's about Cape Town to Johannesburg from the North Pole, from the top of the world, right? That's pretty awesome. Now, arriving in Longyearbyen, we normally come in at about 2 o'clock on the SAS flight. We spend the afternoon exploring, and then on the first night of the expedition, we host a dinner. And during this dinner, I share with guests what to expect, because when you get on the boat on the first day, it's a little bit chaotic. My cabin is too small. I don't know where to go. Where am I living on here? What's happening? So the dinner on the first night is great, just to kind of get to know people, for people to get to know each other, and then just to set us up for the expedition. The first full day of the expedition then is, most of it is spent in Longyearbyen, where people can walk around and do a bit of shopping. The hot chocolate is amazing. And then we embark at 4 o'clock. But it's from that morning, on day one, when you open your curtains in the hotel and you look outside and you see where you are, that it strikes and you think, okay, this is real, this is different. So we get on at 4 o'clock and then we sail out. This year was a shorter expedition than usual. The operators changed a lot of their running time. So we had a 7-day trip instead of the normal 10. Next year's back to 10. And what that meant is we basically put foot, so to speak, and we sailed overnight on day one right to the top northwestern corner. The pack house was pretty close, so we encountered it as we went east, and we spent a lot of time up there because the weather was a bit nasty, and we had to kind of navigate our way around, which on the Stockholm we always do very effectively. Our first couple of Zodiac rides on this vessel, on this trip, was some of the most wintry I've ever had. Cold, misty conditions, snow coming down, but it made for an incredible experience. Going off the boat in the snow, you're wrapped up, you got your cameras there, you can barely see the glacier next to which you're going on the Zodiac, and then it opens up for a second and then goes away again. There's aqueduct coming and going, but it's not just about the things you're looking at, it's also the way the place makes you feel. To me, it makes me feel alive. And a lot of people said that they can't believe they're actually out here. If you think of where you are, on a little rubber duck, Zodiac, in a fjord, very close to the top of the world, snow coming down, eider ducks around, there were some seals that played with us. It was just an amazing, amazing first Zodiac ride. And to me, one of my favorites that I've ever had. It was not as cold as I've had, but the wintry, snowy idea, it just made for a very memorable start. I think we had 2 or 3 others that were also similar with a bit of snow. The weather was all over, like I said, but we managed beautifully. Now, how the days are structured on the vessel is there's only 3 things that is standard: 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Because remember, this is midnight sun. So the sun is up all the time and it just circles. And what we do is 8 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 7 o'clock, meals. And at the meal, we'll brief people for what happens next. Now, with the weather changes that we had and the sightings, how they played out, we try to basically flip our day and night sleep upside down. So on the second day, we said to people, or was it the third day? Second or third day, we said to people, cool, lunch is basically now like dinner, go and sleep, and then we're going into the night because of where we want to zodiac when the wind is down, or a potential polar bear sighting, and so on and so forth. So sleep patterns were a little bit erratic, but it kind of adds to the charm. I'm going to quickly grab half an hour and then I've got to go out again. The nice thing on the vessel, on the Stockholm, is you can be outside, and I've said this many, many times, photographing 24/7. You literally can. It's when we then do excursions on the Zodiacs, either to go and just do a cruise and look for birds and landscapes to photograph, or when we do a landing, that we get on the Zodiacs. But the photography from the vessel is amazing. The height above water level must be about 3 meters on the lowest end. No, even less. So when you get polar bears and seals and walruses close to the boat, you can get amazing angles. We found our first polar bear. How many I think we had 8 on this trip. 3 were pixel bears, yay big in a camera, but we had 2 or 3 incredible sightings. The first one for me was probably one of the most relaxed young females we've ever had. We found her up in the pack ice, away from the coast. That's important for later on. And she was on a seal kill, older one, so it's just a piece of skin, but she turned into a little actress. She was up and down in the water, playing with her seal. Then she went to the rib. She had a bit of a bite on that. She swam. She went up and close. And then we left her after a few hours, right? Because she was doing a thing. So we left her, peaceful, didn't change her behavior. On the way back, because we did a big loop along the ice edge, when we then came back, we found her again. And this time, because everybody, the behavior of the guest will often determine the wildlife, because you have to be very quiet. These animals live in an environment where there's nothing. They might not have seen a vessel in their life, you know what I mean? So we then got to her, everyone was nice and quiet, and slowly, she came to the vessel, where she ended up maybe 20 meters from us. The fact of being, the fact of the matter is, being that close to the world's largest land-based predator is in itself special. But, and this is another reason why you shoot wide sometimes, photography-wise, when you sit back and you look at the place you're in, and you see the scale of the landscape in which these animals live, it just again pushes home how incredible this place is. So people got into their photography, they got the animal up close, different landscapes, different settings, close up, far, just incredible photography, all from the boat. Now what makes that handy is you can leave both your cameras, or 3 if you have more, in the middle outside and shoot from there. A lot of people popped inside quickly, had a cup of chocolate, hot chocolate or a cup of coffee, and then out again. So during the trip, we had a couple of those. We had that one was very close, and then once or twice we got really close up to walrus as well, sleeping on the ice. And again, and my hat off to the Stockholm and Magnus, the captain and the crew there, is they're able to get us into incredible positions, photographically and experience-wise, without affecting the animal's behavior. It's always been a thing. And it's not just in Svalbard. That's kind of what we have to do everywhere, right? So Christian, who was the expedition leader on this with Jaap, they manage it beautifully. We got incredible sightings. Again, maybe 6-7 meters from the vessel. So everybody was laying down on the deck photographing, and you could almost make it look like you were eye level. So close-up sightings like that, just amazing. Later in the trip, we were going down Hinlopen Strait. Now, that's a big strait that goes northeast to southwest, kind of down between the archipelago. And we went to the bird cliffs, which I've only been to 2 or 3 times in the past. Phenomenal landscapes and photography. This was another very snowy excursion, but just the landscapes there was great. That next morning, though, we found one polar bear far off, but small, so we waited for him. And as we're watching this through the binoculars and the long lenses, suddenly someone says, I think it was Evan, said, hey, there's two more, right? So him and Christian still have this debate as to who saw it first. Different discussion. But there was then a mom and a cub, and they were running away from the male. Long story short, they got away, the male left, and these two were small. So we did a loop along the ice edge inside this fjord again and came back in the afternoon. And then we just touched the nose of the vessel onto the ice, and we waited. And the mom and her cub walked straight towards us. The photography and the videos were just amazing. And Christian and myself would keep looking at each other. We've done like 8 trips together, and we just shake our heads. It's like, I've never seen a mom with a cub that young come towards the vessel. And they must have stopped at about 30 to 50 meters somewhere, had a good look, and then carried on and did their thing. They played in the ice, they did a bit of swimming, they walked off. It was just incredible. And at some stage when they went off, we said, okay, cool, 7 o'clock, let's go for dinner, because they're off there, we've seen them well now, let them do their thing. So during dinner, Christian came down again and said, come, they're coming closer. Everybody dropped the food, get up, lenses, they walked past the front of the boat and carried on their way. So those were probably the 2 hero sightings for me, polar bear-wise. But the walrus and the landscape photography all round was just, it's always amazing. It really, really is. The one thing for me about Svalbard as well is it's not just about the photography. A story I had, and I've told this many times from last year, is Nicholas, who joined me. And Nicholas, I don't know if you've even remembered this, but Nicholas was standing in the front of the boat. Right? The front of the boat is often where people stand together because it cuts the wind a bit and you've got this beautiful view of the white landscapes. Anyway, I run up and I see Nicholas standing there. I see him from the back. He's got his hoodie on. And I'm like, are you okay? He doesn't move. I'm like, oh, shit, now what's wrong? And I look around and he's wearing earphones, right? And I said, are you okay? He says, no. And he takes them off and he gave me a listen. It was some Bach music, stunning piece of classical music. And his words to me were, this is the only music I can find that's as powerful as the landscapes I'm looking at. And that hit for me because I know the feeling. I've often wake up in the middle of the night, I'll go on deck and just stand there and just experience being in that environment. And a couple of times on this trip as well, I would find people kind of up on the deck, up on the bridge, on the back deck, just sitting and zoning out or just watching life go by. And for me, where it came kind of full circle as to why I do what I do and why Wild Eye does what we do is, I think it was the last full day. We were on our way back down south, heading toward East Fjorden, which is where Longyearbyen is situated. And we went for a Zodiac cruise. There was a walrus haul out. And we photographed some of them. They came to play with us in the Zodiac. So they're next to the boat. You get some photographs. Difficult, but nice. And then there was a big haul out. Why do I think it's called an ugly of walrus? Check me on that. I think it's called an ugly of walrus, a group. I'm sure it is, actually. But we landed off to the side, and everybody got off. We slowly walked towards them so that we didn't change behavior. We left them the way we found them, but just amazing visuals, amazing photography. So some of them were coming from the beach. We're standing on the beach, from the water, up and down. They would have a bit of a scuffle. Every once in a while, we would be downwind when the wind shifted. They don't smell good. And people would do the photography and we would call some things out and so on and so forth. But for me, this image on screen now was a moment during this trip where I thought, that's what it's about. Most of the people stopped photographing at some stage because now you've got some images, right? How many walrus images can you take? They don't move very fast on land. But everybody stopped photographing and they were all doing their own thing, sitting down and just looking. Some people were looking at the walrus haul out a couple of maybe 50 meters down the beach, right? Some were just staring at the mountains around us. And that's what it's about. It's not just about the photography. Svalbard is an experience. It's a total immersive experience where on, for example, a normal safari, let's say you go to a lodge, not with Wild Eye. We do it different sometimes, but it's still close to the same model. You wake up, you go for coffee, you go on a drive. So you leave the lodge and you go on your drive, and then you come back to the lodge. And then you do stuff, you sleep, you have high tea, you go on a game drive, and you come back from your game drive. The difference with Svalbard is you're basically in it all the time. During the last 11 years that I've been hosting these trips, we've been woken up at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 11 in the evening. Sometimes we went all the way around the clock for 2 days because the light is golden. You're in the environment. You can shoot from the deck all the time. It's a very different experience where you're immersing yourself in it. The one thing for me personally this year was from the moment we met, the group, it gelled. And funny enough, touch wood, touch all the wood, most of the Svalbard trips tend to do this, where people just bond from the beginning, right? Right off the bat, from the beginning when they meet until the last night we do drinks on the deck. That's what it's about. I'm just trying to explain it more. It's a feeling of camaraderie, which you don't always get on a safari because you go to your different rooms. Here you're all staying nice and close. You always eat together. You're close. Everything's intimate. The one thing I noticed this year is I can think of 5 people who were taking notes and journaling during the experience. Because coming from a place like South Africa, coming from a place like even the US, where quite a few of the clients were from, it is so dramatically different. And what travel does for you and how it makes you think about the world, think about yourself, the journaling side and taking notes was amazing. I love to see people do that. And to me, it speaks to the depth of the experience. So, as always, Christian, you are absolutely amazing. You are my Arctic brother, and I look forward to many more trips with you. I'm seeing you in Greenland in a couple of weeks from now, and then Svalbard next year, and the year after, and the year after. Magnus and the crew of the Stockholm, you guys are absolute rock stars, man. The Stockholm is my choice of vessel up there, and I won't change that very easily, if ever. And then to all the guests who joined us, it was an honor and a privilege to host you in one of my favorite places. It was great to see you guys enjoy the experience, to get into it, to roll with the punches, to go into the snow and to feel cold and all those good things. And I would be remiss to not say anything about Natasha. I'll talk about Natasha some other time, but Natasha is a guinea pig that came all the way from Canada to join us on the trip. Evan, thank you very much for that. Here's a few pictures of Natasha, just in case. Everybody welcomed her, and she was, every time you walk around the ship, Natasha would pop up in a different place. Different discussion. But Evan, thank you for bringing Natasha, and she's still safe and doing very well. But anyway, that is just a bit of a wrap-up. I could carry on for days about these trips, but Svalbard as an experience, there's very few things that match it. It's my favorite place, still is, by miles. And the details for next year's trip is going live from this video 5 days from now on Monday next week. It is running towards the end of the year, so it's a bit different. So if you have done Svalbard with us before, I'm going to read this for you. The month of September in Svalbard offers a truly unique and captivating showcase as the Arctic landscape transitions from the perpetual sunlight of summer to the mystical hues of autumn. During this time, the islands are adorned with a vibrant tapestry of colors ranging from fiery reds and golden yellows to deep purples and rich oranges. The colors are insane that time of year. The tundra vegetation takes on a stunning array of hues, creating a breathtaking contrast against the rugged terrain and icy glaciers. This ephemeral display of nature's artistry is a rare and fleeting spectacle, making a visit to Svalbard in September an extraordinary opportunity to witness the Arctic's autumn splendor before the long, dark winter sets in. The date for next year is 20 to 30 September. We're 19 because we spend the first night. There are already quite a few spaces booked on there, and we haven't released yet. So if you see this video and you don't find the details on the website, let me know and I can hook you up. I know people that know people. But once again, thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me on the trip if it's one of you guys watching. Magnus, your crew, Christian, Yop, you guys are great. Bo, we did miss you. But I look forward to next year doing it again, and I'm also working on dates for 2026 already. That's all it is. It's an amazing place. I've been here 3 times this year, going for a 4th, possibly a 5th time even this year, all going well. And I hope I can share it with some of you down the line. As always, thank you for watching. And Svalbard's amazing. You must check it out. My name is Gerry. I'm from Wild Eye. Bye for now.